My name is Clara Jenkins, and I am 17 years old. I live in the quaint town of Maplewood, a place where everyone knows everyone and gossip spreads like wildfire. During the summer, I took a job at Dairy Queen. Let me tell you, working there felt like entering a fast-paced jungle filled with sugar-craving creatures. Every day, I would don my uniform and step into a world of orders, smiles, and occasionally rude customers who seemed to walk through the door with an attitude reserved for royalty. I was just a high school student trying to make some money and figure out how to navigate my teenage years, but this job was teaching me more than I ever expected about respect, or the lack thereof. One scorching 4th of July afternoon, I felt the heat more than just from the sun. The place was packed with families eager to cool off with something sweet, and suddenly, like a dark cloud rolling in, a rude customer arrived. He strutted to the front like he owned the place, and it made my skin crawl. He was dressed in a crisp suit that perfectly contrasted his brash attitude. He snapped his fingers at me, demanding my attention while I was already juggling ice cream cups and cones for excited kids. I could feel the anger rising inside me, but I forced a polite smile because that was part of the job. But in that moment, I made a decision that would change everything. As I finished his order for chocolate ice cream with hot fudge and a waffle cone, all my fellow employees around me were equally annoyed by his entitled demeanor. It was as if he believed he was above the rules that governed our little Dairy Queen. I prepared his cone with careful precision, but there was something I had learned during my time there. If you do not pay attention while making the waffle cones, and the batter gets a little too gooey, the bottom can crack, leaving a little opening. It was supposed to be thrown out, but in my mind, it seemed like the perfect way to teach him a lesson. So, with a wicked grin disguising my growing sense of rebellion, I made him one of those reject cones and handed it over with a bright smile, even as I felt a rush of satisfaction surging through me. To my delight, he took his confection and walked off without a second glance, blissfully unaware of the tiny revenge I had just served him. I could hardly wait to see what would happen next. As I observed him from behind the counter, he took a big bite and strutted away with confidence, only to realize the disaster that was about to unfold. I watched as the chocolate ice cream began to ooze out through the bottom of the cone, dripping down the sides of his hands and the fine suit he wore. His expression twisted from delight to disgust in mere seconds. He glanced down, the surprise quickly replaced by fury, and I could barely suppress my laughter as I witnessed him running to the napkin dispenser, desperately trying to salvage his dignity. It was the most satisfying thing I had witnessed in a long time. That initial taste of revenge was better than any scoop of ice cream, and it fueled something inside me. After that experience, any time a rude customer came in, I started a mental note of the ones who treated me like I did not exist. They had grown into my very own nemeses, each providing an opportunity for my amusement. I could not leak ice cream cones for every rude customer, as it would draw too much attention, but there was always a special moment for those truly nasty individuals who thought they could roll over us with their snappy attitudes. However, as the weeks passed, I began to realize that it was not just about the sweet taste of revenge. It was also about the escalating nature of my pranks. As I continued working, the line between harmless fun and serious repercussions began to blur. One evening, after a particularly rude woman berated me for a small mistake I made with her order, I found myself stewing in anger. I thought of how many times I had wiped sticky floors or dealt with cranky children, all while keeping a smile on my face. In that moment, I decided enough was enough. I carefully crafted yet another waffle cone, this one even more flawed than before. I greeted her with my best customer service smile and handed over her cone, which I realized was only a fraction of what she deserved. The anticipation was electric as I watched her take a huge bite, and just like that, the criminal undertones of my actions caught up with me. She reacted by shrieking, looking down in horror, her angry eyes searching for me. In that moment, I went from feeling triumphant to doubting the worth of these petty acts. Things escalated quickly after that day. The ice cream store became a battlefield not just for orders, but for my conscience. I had gone too far. The regret settled in after another encounter, this time with a man who decided to chastise not just me, but my coworkers too. I considered my options as I played with an idea that danced in my mind. I did not hold back with the next customer who seemed too demanding for his own good. I prepared another leak-prone cone, and when he walked away, his hands dripping with ice cream, my heart sank. Was that really the way I wanted to express my frustrations? Was my satisfaction worth degrading myself to this level? The next few weeks felt heavy as I continued my job while grappling with my choices. Though I became known for my legendary prankster reputation, it was wearing on me. I felt like I had to take a stand, not just for myself, but for all those who put their hearts into the work we did. And then it happened. One day, several customers were in line behind each other when the rude customer from my earlier memory returned. As he approached the counter, I could see the look of malice rising in him as he glared at my fellow employees. This was not going to end well. Our manager, aware of the tension, asked him to kindly lower his tone, but that only sent him into a rage as he began yelling about his previous experience with us. At that moment, enough was enough. I decided to confront him. In a surprising twist, I stood up and addressed him directly. I recounted the tale of his previous visit and how he reacted. I pointed out that kindness goes a long way when people are busy helping one another. The entire store fell silent, the weight of my words hanging in the air, as the customers around us leaned in closer to hear. I took a deep breath and realized this was my moment. Standing there, I had a choice. I could have continued playing my petty games of revenge, but instead, I chose the high road. What I thought would elicit a fit of rage turned into a moment of realization for him. He had the choice of either continuing down the path of bitterness or opting for respect and decency. I stood my ground, finishing strongly but remaining respectful. He swallowed hard, processing what I had said. To my astonishment, instead of retaliating, he looked around, realizing he was on display. It turned out that my unexpected confrontation would change things more profoundly than I could have imagined. People in line began to applaud, and to my disbelief, he sheepishly apologized for his past behavior. He left the store without any further fuss, and it felt surreal. I realized that I had just changed an aspect of myself and perhaps the world a little bit. From that day onward, I still faced rude customers, but I found ways to handle it with humor rather than revenge. I understood the need for some laughter, and though I would never entirely abandon the idea of payback, I realized that embracing compassion was the most potent weapon I could wield. As for the ice cream leaking cone idea, that's a tale I would keep in my pocket, a lesson learned about striking the heart of rudeness with kindness instead. It turned into a reminder that sometimes the sweetest victory comes from unexpected places.